So this is like a different type of video. I don't even know like where I'm going with this. I just felt led to sit in front of the camera and share this with you guys, okay? So how should I do this? Like I guess I'll go back to like what happened before and then come up to today or Sunday, the message I received on Sunday. Okay, so back in 2000, I'll say, was it 2014? It was 2014. My grandmother was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And if anyone here knows anything about pancreatic cancer, basically they call it the silent killer. Most people don't live. Most people don't like know that they have pancreatic cancer until it's too late. And yeah, so my grandmother was a pancreatic cancer survivor. She just turned 77 in July. So she's been cancer free since 2015, the year Taylor was born. So it's 17. Every doctor that I shared that with, they're like, what? Like, that's crazy. So that was such a blessing. But I say that to say all this. But when my grandmother fell ill with cancer, I recall at that time, like I was trying to like grow up, glow up. Like I was trying to get closer to God and stuff. And I just remember praying like, God, just please improve my faith. Please like let my faith, please allow my faith to grow. I prayed for it. And whatever you pray for, y'all, better be careful what you pray for. So basically with that situation with my grandmother being sick, I played like a strong role in her getting the health care that she needed at that time. I was like her social worker. Like I'm on the phone with doctors, directors of hospitals and everything, trying to get everything settled, because if I had not done that, they would have let my grandmother die. They would not have gotten her the appointment she needed. She had to have referrals to go to certain doctors and stuff like that. They were not on top of their things. The doctors, nurses, no one was on top of anything. So if it wasn't for me like hounding them, calling them over and over again, then she would not have gotten the health care that she needed to survive. So I did play a strong role in that, which is crazy to me because it's kind of like the healthcare aspect. Like I became a healthcare social worker for that situation, and then I look at what I'm doing now with my business. Of course, it's related to health. So that situation, it like tore me apart. Like it broke me all the way down to my knees, and the only thing that I could depend on during that time was God to make things right. Because of course, I just told you the doctors weren't doing what they were supposed to. Even with me advocating on her behalf, I couldn't make them do anything. So I just had to depend wholeheartedly on God. And then I knew the trajectory of that disease and the expectancy, the life expectancy of that disease. So just knowing all of that, it just seemed as though the odds were against me. So at that point, all I could do is depend on God to pull me and my family through. And needless to say, she did. She had surgery. She is doing well now. She's still living on her own, like by herself in her own place and stuff like that. So that situation really caused me to grow in my faith and my spirituality. So then from there, of course, like my faith was on fleek after that situation happened, and I just recall like praying like for God to enlarge my territory. Again, when you're praying for something, he is going to answer. It may not be the answer you're expecting, but he's going to answer. So me and CJ, we would pray and pray and pray for God to enlarge our territory. And that's why I told you guys, this business was like dropped in my lap, like do this, try this. So that's when I started this business. And when I tell you guys, like people say like, Tierra, you're so focused on money now. And it's like, you have no idea where my focus is. Like it's so much bigger than money, guys. Like I promise you, like my faith has grown, my strengths, my weaknesses. Like I have grown so much from this business, and it's like directly related to God. Like every single thing that has happened to me in this business is related to God. And I saw someone on my video, I don't think they made any harm by it, but they said something like, do you believe in law of attraction? Because you like, basically it happens a lot in your life. And I'm like, so I didn't really know much about law of attraction, so I looked it up. Y'all know I'm a researcher. So I looked up law of attraction, and basically it said like you could attract stuff to you or to your life by you speaking it. I'm like, no, boo. I believe in faith. Like, I believe in God, and I know every single thing that has happened is from God, not from law of attraction or anything else. I feel like that's just another scientific term that they try to use, like the Big Bang Theory, to take the credit away from God. Like, no, this is straight up him working in my life. So with all that being said, basically I went to church on Sunday, and I left feeling like the message was so amazing, guys. Like, it was so good. And I remember like not even wanting to go to church because I just felt like I didn't get anything. I would go to hear the music or to hear them sing, and at that time when I was younger, I would get, I guess, what I felt I needed from the choir and stuff. So I didn't care to hear the message. But since I grew up and I go to my church now, I really understand the word, and I know how to make it work in my life. So the message was so good, y'all. Like, I left them like, how can I share this message with so many people so that they can use this to improve their life? And part of me was like, well, Tier, you have to tell your team. Like, you have to tell your team. Then part of me was like, well, Tier, you have to send this to all of your friends so that they can like benefit from this message too. And then another part of me was like, well, Tier, you need to share this with everyone on your YouTube channel. So share this with your subscribers, like anyone who you have the opportunity to touch. And I know that's God. Like, he wants to use me to get to as many people as he can. So I'm gonna share this message with you guys, and I hope that it is helpful to you as it has been helpful to me. So after I share it, I'm gonna tell you I'm still like I don't know what I'm doing with this. Like, I don't know, I just feel led to share it with you guys. So I'm not a pastor or anything like that. I'm just me, and I just want to share this with you guys. So that's what I'm gonna do. But hold on one second, I'm gonna run and get my Bible, and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So basically my pastor on Sunday, he started off by saying, in order for clay to become a pot, it has to go through a process. So whatever it is that we want to become, we have to realize it's not gonna happen overnight. We have to go through a process to get there, okay? So he said that God takes us through a process because his intent is to develop us, okay? So he said that we should identify the process that God uses to develop his children. So of course that's in the Bible. The Bible is basically a book of parables, so that we can use those stories and relate them to our life and make it fit for what we're going through now. So a lot of the stuff, like, history repeats itself. It says that in the Bible. A lot of the stuff we're going through, someone else has went through, someone else in the Bible has went through. It may not be verbatim, like word for word, the same exact thing that happened, but it has happened before. So the same way God worked in those situations is the same way he can work in our situations. So he said your problem will be alleviated when God fixes the problem in you. A lot of times we look all around us to find like problems within other people, but I have honestly learned to look within myself and examine myself, like, where is my issue? Like, I know if everybody around me has an issue, it has to be some issue with me, because we attract, you know, people who are like us. So that's one. Identify the process that God uses to develop his children. Two, you must locate yourself within the process. So take the process apart. Once you notice what the process is, take it apart and look at each step and see where you currently are, so that you can get better at that particular step that you're in. Many people will get stuck in like one part of the process and then they can't move on, okay? And then third, he said, if you go through steps 1, 2, 3, and 4, your life will eventually be better. But of course, if you get stuck at 2, you want to get to 4, but you don't even know about a 4, then you may give up and stay stuck at 2. So you need to know the whole process, and your goal should be to get through every single step of the process so that you can get to the reward at the end. So he basically used the example. So remember, he said, like, identify the process that God uses to develop his children. So one process that he used was the story of God delivering his children from Egypt. Everybody knows that story with Moses. Yeah, I'll put where it is in the Bible right here, so you guys can look that up if you don't know that story. But so he said something else should represent Egypt. Okay, so just like I said before, use the stories that's in the Bible, make it fit for your situation, and try to figure out how God worked in the people's lives so they made it through that situation. Okay, I hope that made sense. So 1, in the situation with God delivering his children from Egypt, the first step was God promised to deliver them. So it could be God promised you something. God promised you your dream husband. God promised you your dream home. God promised you your dream job, your business, whatever. That's step number 1. It could be that you're still looking for that deliverance, for his promise. So that's step number 1. 2, God then took them purposely through the wilderness. So once he delivered them, he took them purposely through the wilderness. And basically he said that the wilderness is the place where you get your mind renewed. You have to unlearn the old rules and things you have previously learned and then relearn there. So your mind needs to be renewed and you have to be reprogrammed. So that was like amazing to me, like, because I can literally see, like, when I started my business, I remember so many people telling me, like, have you noticed, like, that you've changed, or your posts have changed, like the way you post on social media have changed. And it's not like it was changing for the worse, it was changing for the better. Like, I was being more inspirational, like I was happier. It was showing. I felt comfortable posting. I felt more confident. So I honestly saw the change. Yeah, I did, but it was for the better. But the fact, people will point that out. So you have to, like, renew your mind and unlearn some things and relearn. So one thing that I had to unlearn was the fact that you have to have a job in corporate America in order to feel successful. Like, we think that the goal in life is to go to college and work for someone else. I had to unlearn that in order for me to see, like, oh my gosh, Tierra, every single thing you're doing for someone else, you could be doing for yourself. Like, you could have your own thing, doing it for yourself. So I had to unlearn everything I had been taught and basically relearn it so that I can basically level up and get my business mindset on. So that's that. 3 is basically God promised to take them to the promised land, the land of prosperity and abundance. And then 4 is God said, I'm going to make you a nation and give you purpose so that you can be a light to others and you can tell people how God changed your life and you can change their life in turn. So he said that you should identify where you are in those steps. Are you in the promise of deliverance? Are you in the wilderness? Are you, like, feeling stuck? Are you at the promise of prosperity stage? Like, you know what God is trying to do in your life to move you to the next level? Or are you at the point where you feel like you're a leader over a nation? You're able to push people through the process with an understanding of what God is trying to do in your life and theirs. So you have to identify where you are. So then he brought up Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 6 through 8. That's when God promised his children that he would take them to the promised land. He told them what they had in store for them, basically. So he said, once you get to that place, Do not forget what you went through in step 1 and step 2, because as you're embarking on a journey and people are coming to you and trying to like see where you are and how you got there, they're gonna think that you're so far ahead of them that they can't get there because they don't see the struggle. They didn't see the struggle. All they see is the here and now and how you got to where you currently are. And for so many people, it seems so far-fetched when it really isn't, and they have the same opportunity for God to work in their life as you had when he worked in yours, basically. So he said, just because your resume changed and your resume looks lit now, don't forget to tell these people who are coming behind you or who are looking at you what you had to go through to get your resume to look the way it looks now. Like, you had that crappy job before you got to that popping job. So don't forget to let them know the whole process and not just the here and now. Basically said, don't get bougie and act like you ain't been through nothing when you had to get your stuff torn apart in order for you to get to where you are. So, and that's something I always talk about. Like, people relate to struggle. People relate to you going through something difficult. They don't relate to the, how do I say this? People cannot relate to you doing good without you sharing your struggle. So I learned that in my business, of course, like, I had to learn to be transparent. I can't just tell them every single thing or tell people every single thing that has happened and has been successful in my life without telling them the struggles that I went through. And that's like a whole nother video. I guess I can do that, like, to share some of the things I went through with different jobs and stuff like that, because yeah, that really led me to my decision in starting a business. So I guess I can definitely share with you guys what I went through as I tried to find the ideal job for myself. So then he talked about 3 John chapter 1 verse 2. So let me go to that really quickly. I don't know what version of the Bible he read this verse from, but basically the way he read it, it said, God wants you to prosper in all things, even as, or just as, your soul prospers. So he said there is not a thing that is considered a thing that God does not want you to prosper in. So he did not say he wants you to prosper in some things. He said all things. Every single thing that you put your hands on, he wants you to be prosperous with, okay? So he said the reason why is because when you're prosperous, you're going to automatically bring him glory, okay? So he said he wanted us to look at the word even, okay? And he said, put a picture of a seesaw in your head. And he said, if you chase God and your soul prospers and becomes higher, your prosperity will have to level up. Okay, so let's put your soul on one side of the seesaw and prosperity on the other side of the seesaw. Some of us want our prosperity to be on fleek when our soul is down here. And what he said is basically God wants both to prosper. So he wants them to be even. So there are people whose prosperity is like all the way up here. Like, they're prospering, they're doing well, they got the money, they got the house. Like, being prosperous, that means a whole bunch of different things, like being wealthy. And then their soul is down here. But you have to look at the people who have been prosperous and their soul is down here. Like, their soul is not there yet, it hasn't arrived. So look at those people, and a lot of times they have drama going on in their life. Like, everything is not perfect. They're battling their like mental health concerns, and all the 9. Like, the money is there, but their peace isn't there. So he said God can give you all the money you need and you want, but the money will come and go if your soul isn't right. Money doesn't fix your soul or your problems. God has to fix that. So you're not supposed to visit prosperity. Those people who visit prosperity, and then they end up having to say bye. So the people who get there and then they go bankrupt, or people who get there and then like things don't level out, or they have a whole bunch of lawsuits and stuff like that. Like, that's just drama that God does not want us to have to go through. So he said you're supposed to stay there, and basically if their soul was in the right place, then your prosperity would stay in a place where you're good. So he said we shouldn't have to chase prosperity. Stop chasing prosperity and start chasing your soul. So when your soul becomes better, or your soul begins to rise, then naturally your prosperity is gonna level up, because God wants them to be even. So if your soul gets up here and your prosperity is down here, God's gonna be like, oops, I want them to be even, so I have to level her up a little bit over here. So that whole picture, it was like amazing for me, because I get that. Like, you need to chase him and stop chasing that money. Because he will automatically bring everything in your life that you need. So what else did he say? And he said, like, a lot of people will chase prosperity, wondering like, what do I have to do? Like, why am I not being successful? And he said it could be that your soul does not have enough weight to take you higher. So if your soul is down here and your prosperity is down here, like, your soul can't go up in order to bring your prosperity up, because you're not feeding into your soul. You're not trying to be better. You're not trying to get closer to God. But if you are working on that, then naturally God's going to say, I'm going to have to make them more prosperous, because he wants us to be prosperous in all things, even as our soul prospers. So the way that you will become more prosperous is by seed, time, and harvest. And basically says that in Genesis, like, there will always be a time for planting and harvesting, or sowing and reaping. Like, that will never change. It's the same, like, year round. Like, you're supposed to sow so that you can reap. And he said we're not meant to live by miracles. So a lot of people will play the lottery. They'll do things and like pray for a miracle and stuff like that. We're not supposed to live by miracles. Miracles are gonna happen, but we're supposed to live by principle. And the principle is seed, time, harvest, okay? So he said, like, going back to the story with Egypt, when they were in the wilderness, he had water to flow from rocks. However, eventually the water in the rocks dried up. So he said that what they were supposed to do was eat up some of what they were given, plant some of the seeds from the fruits and vegetables that they had, so that they could wait, and then they would have a harvest. They would like have food to eat ongoing. However, you know, we eat up everything we get. So we get a miracle to happen and we eat up everything that has just happened to us, and we don't take time to plant seeds so that we can have a harvest to grow. So he said, you should plant some of it, wait, and then the harvest will come. Whatever good you make happen for someone else, God will make happen for you. So he said, whatever you need right now tells you what your seed should be. If you need a job, help someone else to get a job. If you need somebody to support your business, support somebody else's business. You want money, sow some of your money. Are you paying your tithe? If you want your health to improve, help somebody else with their health. If you want your student loan debt to just be gone, God can make it happen. Like, help somebody else to pay off their student loan debt. Tell them what they need to do. So that was basically that message. I hope this video isn't too long, but I thought it was an amazing message to share with you guys. I am trying to level up. Like, I'm gonna do a little challenge for myself. I need to level up. Like, I need my soul to become higher. Like, I want to be closer to God. I want to grow spiritually, and I know that my business is doing that for me. And I know that when my mind is right, my spirit is in line and where it needs to be, then God will draw the right people to me. God will basically allow everything I touch to be prosperous. So that is gonna be my focus. If you wanna join me on this challenge, you can. I don't have any like specifics of what I'm gonna be doing. Well, I know I'm gonna like start going to church regularly. I am going to watch what I am listening to, because I know, or what I'm watching also, because I know that those things will, any way the devil can sneak in there and take your mind off of God, he's going to do it. So if you're watching something, listening to something that is going to affect your spirit, that is the enemy trying to get your mind off of God. So I'm going to be mindful of what I listen to. I'm going to be mindful of what I watch. I am going to try to read the Bible with my husband. We used to do that, and let me tell you, y'all, amazing. Your marriage will be better. Like, your life will be better. So read the Bible. You'll know how to work the word, how to make the word work for you and in your life. And I'm also going to start praying with my family nightly. CJ prays over us in the morning, and then we'll pray nightly together also. So yeah, I just wanted to share this with you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's really different. Again, I'm not a pastor, but yeah, I felt like it could help you all, and I don't know if you would have received it if I didn't share it, so I had to. So I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Take care. Love you. Bye.